All right. So, yes, yesterday was actually pretty awesome. Um, I probably couldn't talk about yesterday 5 years ago. Okay? And I would never reveal that monster. I haven't revealed that monster in a lot of like last time I revealed the monster, I was a teenage runaway. Was back when I think it was in Landmark Education in the 90s, in a safe space of maybe 200 people. And that was it. And I would never put it on Facebook because why would you? There'd be no platform for that. That would just leave too much room for who knows what. So, and then, you put on the facade. And we're all putting on a facade. It's a matter of what we're trying to hide, right? And so, yes, the monster was revealed yesterday. And it was great. There was no pain, no nothing, no shame, no nothing. It was amazing. Amazing. And that does take time. Okay? And so, JJ people, if you want to influence and be on my platform at any point in time, if you have a book somewhere within you, okay, great. Some of you are very talented. You write well or can speak well. But I want to see the monster. I want to see your fucking sickness. I want to see that you're not decaying on the inside. You're not curing yourself with J juice. That's for one. And I want to see that you're not decaying on the inside, because when you are releasing the mucus and you feel like shit and you're feeling the stuff back to back to back to back, you are releasing the monster, releasing the monster. The monster isn't eating you up on the inside and decaying your organs. That I had a writing prompt today. That whole thing that I wrote right before this transmission was prompted from somebody actually in Silicon Valley writing something about when you get to know someone's heart and spirit, you don't notice. You don't notice their outside, or you don't see them. You see their heart and spirit. And I'm like, oh my God, that sounds so fucking new age. That sounds so, so Manson cult following, so love, love, love. Oh my gosh. And so, and it's someone I know from junior high school, whatever. And they're in Silicon Valley, yes, and I can't wait to write this book, Silicon Valley Secrets, because I'm tired of the manufactured images. I'm tired of the manufactured depth. I'm tired of the facades, the fakery, the superficial shit. I'm tired of people hiding their monsters and hiding all of their hurt and their anger, and it's eating up on the inside, and I'm tired of that shit. We got to set that fucking monster free. That's why people are dying. That's why people are getting mixed messages. And like this person's like, oh yeah, I love you. And then turn around and they end up doing something and to whatever. And so, it's like, you don't get authenticity in this society. It is so rare. If it's not even existent when you think about it, because everyone's too concerned with their image. They want to save somebody else, or they're into, I don't know, shit. Taking people's souls, like collecting souls. We have too many people who are into just collecting souls, collecting followers, collecting souls, have no interest in having any kind of authentic voice that is going to change themselves and change society. So you have a bunch of widgets and rabbits that just keep reproducing, and clones. And I know it sounds like mean and harsh, but that's what it is. Look around you. Look how many groups there are out there. They all hang out together, live in communes together. They're all in the love, love, love shit, playing music together. Okay, great, you play music, but there is a type of hypnosis around music too, just so you understand. Okay? People still living in the 60s. Shit, some of these religious cults take after the Manson cult. Even though they're not killing anybody, they are still, practicing the same practices. Oh, we're going to just go away from society and live in our own little commune, and then still have the whole Lord of the Flies thing turn out. I was in it, not as a member, but I was dealing with some shit in San Francisco, and my friend, who was part of a Christian cult, said, hey, come out to Hawaii, and who's going to turn that down? I said, hell yeah. And I went out there and I sat in that Jesus cult going like, what the hell did I, but I was going through my own religious, experience and trying to figure out religion, what I should choose, because everyone's choosing either a profession or a religion. And I had no place I was belonging to. Absolutely none. I was trying to belong into the political world, but that I was not going to be some political wife. I had to have my own shit. And not say wife, that guy was never going to marry me, and he shouldn't, because I was too fucked up back then. There's too many things going on. And so yeah, so I had to find my own place. But in the meantime, I was experiencing a type of cult commune that would be reminiscent of something in the 1960s. Okay, but it was all about Jesus, and it wasn't about love of love and how society sucks. But they had their own version of that, but it was through a religious type of thing. And so I'm tired of that shit. I'm tired of repeating all that. I'm tired of people repeating the programming of the 1960s. That's why we're in a fucked up situation, because the 1960s and the drugs and all the love shit and the hormone manipulation and the LSD has messed up so many people. And now we're paying the fucking price. The baby boomers and the silent generation that were all into that stuff, even though, yes, a lot of things came out of that, but we're still repeating history. We haven't even taken the good parts of that. Because just because you're like, okay, now women can do this, women can vote, well, like that really makes a difference, but we could vote way back in the 1800s. But if we're not stuck behind a man, we broke out of the 1950s traditional model. Yes, that's a good thing, because men were beating their wives when they came back from the war. So a woman had to now finally break free. But then we ended up in LSD and drugs and still, hanging out with the man. But now the man is our government, not our husband. And we're still, and so we haven't changed really, women and men, we haven't changed. And because you're still hiding your fucking monsters. You haven't gotten over your childhood. You haven't gotten over whatever jilted you in the past, okay? So, JJ crowd, if you want to influence anyone, I need to see every video you post be when your facade isn't protecting your image when you're sick. See, some of you are being honest. Like Audrey, she's being honest in her videos. She's showing her face. She showed her profile pic, shows her when she was, going through her stuff and or whatever. And now she's showing videos of herself, and you're seeing a little bit of a change. You're seeing slight changes, and she's talking, she's speaking, she's articulating, she's changing the future as we speak. That is what I want. I want a voice other than all their politics, religion, and science that's out there. I want people owning up to their shit, if they even know they have shit that they need to own up to. I want to see the suffering, because that suffering means that you're not decaying and destroying your insides. That you're releasing that monster, you're releasing that energy. When someone has plastic surgery, or they put all their makeup and filters on their face, they're hiding their hormonal imbalances. And so when someone says, "Oh, I'm attracted to someone's spirit and their heart, and I don't see them, I just see their spirit and heart," what the fuck is that? You're attracted to their marketing of their hormones. You're attracted to the words that they say. Does those words have any real meaning? When you say, "I'm attracted to that person's heart and their spirit," and they're talking about, "Well, I'm developing a foundation for pancreatic cancer, and I want to fundraise and do this cancer research because these poor children are suffering from pancreatic cancer," and someone goes, "Oh my God, you have such a beautiful heart, such a beautiful soul. I'm attracted to your heart and your spirit." And yet they're promoting pancreatic cancer fundraising research to promote another cure that's going to cause another mutation and another disease that you have to provide another cure for. And so is that beautiful? But someone who is superficial and shallow and who doesn't understand how shit works will think that person is beautiful. And then there'll be just, mentally masturbating each other until they have an explosion. That's what happens when people are like, "Oh, that's all about the love." They mentally masturbate with each other. And it's sickening. It is so fucking sickening. You just want to walk away because you can't deal with it. See, when you finally release the blinders and you see all the hormone manipulation from the 1960s and the LSD and the cannabis and all the fucking drugs and everyone's all fucking love, love, love. Oh my God. That is a programming that hasn't even been purged out yet. Because it ain't about love, because that's death and reproduction. It's about respect. It's about being authentic. It's about showing your demons, showing the most vulnerable part of yourself, because that is what is running you, and that is what is causing the decay on the inside. That is what is what do you call that? That's the elephant in the room. And people try to hide it. Oh, they do. They will never go on Facebook Live and show their face that they're going through some shit. No, they'll hide behind their music. They'll hide behind their talents. They'll hide behind the gifts that were given to them right at the door. But they will never show the worst part of themselves. They will never own up to their part in this society. And it's telling. And so I said, yeah, you guys, if you need to disappear, go disappear. Go figure out what you want to do in this world. You want to still stay superficial and shallow and play that game? Fine. Go hang out with your friends and family. Go in your communes. Play your music. Throw chakras at each other. Whatever. But that was 1960s. That was the Charles Manson days. That was the destructive family. And so we're repeating that when we're all going into our little communes with our own little family of people that we hang out with. And we don't individually deal with our own bullshit. We're too busy cannibalizing our friends and family and not taking care of actual business inside. But that's okay. If you're okay with dying anyways, if you're okay with contracting cancer disease and chronic illness, if you're okay with being cured or trying to save somebody else, I mean, there's no guarantee that you're going to live indefinitely as far as not dying from natural causes. Because I can guarantee you, those that are still doing J-juice and using it against all of their different symptoms from the different variants, they won't have enough adipose tissue, enough substance in their body to deal with the newer variants that will come through. Okay? And I know some of you don't want to put your face out there publicly for whatever reason. Okay. But why is that? Because, right, it's your association. I mean, should everyone be putting their face out there publicly in the JJ world? I'm going to say absolutely yes. I think everyone in the JJ world should put their face out there publicly when they're ready. But when will they be ready? Well, it better be when you're sick. If you don't get sick, then you must ask yourself why. So that's what I'm saying. Anyone that hasn't put their face out publicly, I want you to do it when you're sick, when you're suffering, when you're crying, when you are going through some shit, because that is the beast being released. And then you characterize it correctly. Because you don't want someone like, well, go see a doctor if you can't handle your shit. Because there's a reason why you're crying and you're suffering and you have a big, huge thing right here, or you have something over here, or your eye is swollen or whatever, because the beast is being released. And yes, as it's leaving your body, it's going to affect the facade. And so if you can't come to terms with that your facade, your veneer is going to be impacted by the releasing of the beast, and you don't want to show anyone that, and everything is about love, 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 joy, 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 happy, 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 you don't get it. Okay, fine. And you know what? If I never hear from you and you still go through your stuff on your own, okay, fine. But I don't want to have anyone question the authenticity of anyone I'm promoting, because you know what? That's what I was afraid of a year or so ago. But I couldn't really articulate it. People were like, oh yeah, I'm going to write a book. And I'm like, okay, what are you going to write about? My journey, like I said, write about your journey. But then what are we trying to get across here? Why would you write a book? I mean, but you have the JJ platform, how to get through all the different symptoms. Okay, but that's no different than somebody in the mainstream going to their different places and dealing with their issues, and they take some kind of remedy and now they don't have it anymore. And so that shouldn't be the main focus. Because writing about that you took a shit yesterday after you drank milk, okay. Everyone's experiences of how they're going through this are going to be different, but there's got to be more depth than just your symptoms and how you deal with them. that is just part of the story. There is a bigger overarching story, and it's not just that you had an alcoholism issue or you had a cannabis issue, because that is just another symptom of the root cause. See, when someone says, oh yeah, I beat alcohol, or excuse me, sorry, I got over my alcohol addiction, I got over my cannabis addiction, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't do this. Well, why the hell did you do it to begin with? And that's when you're uncovering the fucking beast. And so I don't want to hear just the symptom reversal stories, because that really is shallow. Those symptoms were there for a reason. It could have been child abuse. It could have been some kind of abuse. It could have been other issues that others have experienced and are alcoholics and drug addicts. And that's what needs to be revealed. And that is difficult. But again, I don't want to just read it. We got to know who you are. We got to see your eyes. We got to see your face. We got to see your mannerisms. We got to see it all. Not all, but you know what I mean. Okay? And so that's what I was afraid of. So I was going to get a bunch of fake people. And no offense to those that were volunteering, because I didn't know exactly. I haven't figured. I was just exploring that. And that's where my head was at the time. But I don't want a bunch of fake people sending me their manuscripts of like, oh, I was this and here I'm this, and I don't even know you, really. I don't know. People don't know people. You only know what people post on their Facebook, their work image. But people's images on Facebook are very carefully crafted, and for a reason. Okay? And so when you have a very carefully crafted Facebook image, there's so much to hide. There's so much hiding. But I don't use my Facebook for that. I use my Facebook for hobbies and family. And okay, then get out of the fucking JJ world. You don't belong in it. As far as influencing, take my information and do your thing. Put off your image, and okay. Let me tell you, there's some people that do watch this stuff. I have like 60 or 80 views, and that's a lot when you think about some of these videos. My average is about 30 or 40 or 50. But I don't know, I just got lost the train of thought there. But the average, so when you actually are authentic and you're putting that stuff on, you might get more views, but I don't even know if that's where I was going. But whatever, that's fine. But yeah, I mean, that's right. You use your Facebook for other stuff, but not for this stuff. Okay, fine. Okay, whatever. So anyways, and that's going to happen when you guys do talk, and then you go from this tangent. There's so much, when you have so much going on, you might lose your train of thought, and that's okay. That always happens. That happens. Okay, so JJ Crowd, if you want to influence anyone, I need to see every video you post be when your facade isn't protecting your image when you're sick. If you are already dealing with monsters and you know you're not conventionally beautiful, please post whatever. Okay? I wasn't conventionally beautiful. I had a little bit of sexy pics here and there, but the monster was coming out, and the monster was taking over too. I wasn't releasing the monster. It was just taking me over. So a couple years ago, the pictures that you saw was nothing like my 20s, where I had the nice facade, the youth, and the different, cures out there. But back in 2016, the monster was emerging. The monster was taking over my body. Even though there's still me in there, the monster was taking over. And I looked like I was so bloated. And you could see what I looked like. Like, I looked like some kind of reptile. I'm serious. So, but I wasn't like sick except for like once a month. So the monster would then make me feel physically sick at least once a month. So if you're already dealing with monsters and you know you're not conventionally beautiful, then please post whenever. Because then when you're talking about yourself, like Audrey is talking about herself, talking about the things, whatever, just using it as a video diary to just get stuff out, because her story is no different than other people's stories out there. Then we want to see you, and then we can see in 10 years when your face has changed, when your mannerisms have changed, when so many things have changed, because now you finally clearing the body from that monster that has taken over you, the beast that has taken over you. Don't kill the beast because that's part of you, but you are now taming the beast. It's not running you, and it's not making you look dysmorphic or making you look asymmetrical, and it's not putting out the love, it's not putting out the hormones. You can tell when someone's run by their hormones when they're oozing love. That's when you know someone is really under the spell. So am I being discriminatory? Absolutely, because we have fostered a shallow society with manufactured depth. Okay? So those who are conventionally beautiful, and that's how you got by in life, if you're going to post, I only want to see posts when you're sick, so I know your insides are not decaying and your monster's being set free. And so yeah, when you're aging, that's the monster decaying your organs, and it's coming through your skin, your hair, your skin, your eyes, your everything, your politics. Okay? And so a person's heart and spirit is representative of their hormone levels and need. The person's appearance reflects their hormone levels naturally or hides the hormones levels synthetically. Some people are okay with aging. Okay, fine. If you're okay with aging and looking like you're aging and your body's falling apart and you have no interest in purging the monster and then eating food and feeling the pain of regeneration, then that's going to color and jade everything in your world. That's going to color your perception of health and wellness. That's going to color your perception of politics, religion, and science. And so then when you think about it, I can't take anyone seriously about anything that I post that is going to counter me when I know they're filtering my information through their body that is decaying. And so I try not to get into arguments with people on Facebook if they don't agree with my information, because I've done enough research and I've experienced enough stuff that I don't need someone to go and correct me. So just FYI, if you are that kind of person who might be older than me, thinking that your wisdom supersedes my stuff, I'm going to tell you to knock it off, okay? Because we have a lot of people who are aged but not mature, and they can't see different sides of the issue. And if we're taking cues from doctors, that ought to really scare a lot of people, because the doctors put you in the place of where you're in today, where you're aging out. All right? So just FYI, I don't take any cues from people's recommendations or non-discoveries or discoveries from doctors. I don't have any respect for the medical holistic industry except for triage when someone's unconscious because of an accident. And that's it. All right? I gotta take my dog out, but give me a second. Come on, sugar. Let's go outside. Come on. Give me 1 second here. Come on, sugar. I didn't even see if she peed upstairs, but she was up. All right. All right. Are you gonna go pee? Go ahead. Go pee. Go ahead. Go ahead, sugar. All right. Okay. Hopefully she won't go to the edge and fall off the edge. Okay. Sorry. Of course she's gonna go to the edge. Well, I can't protect her all the time. She's gonna have to learn. If she goes to the edge and she can't find her umbrellas, she'll deal with it. Alright. Anyways. She'll come back in. Alright. So, the person's appearance reflects their hormones levels naturally or hides the hormones levels synthetically. Authenticity, no need to hide, but if you're hiding, ask yourself why. I always notice people's face, every eyes, body language, movement. I listen to what they say, how they feel, what their purpose in life is. So attraction is chemical. And if you are attracted to the facade, that speaks volumes. Okay? Facade fades away eventually. And then when you see the monster, people don't understand the monster because their monster is the aging process. And they still listen to the marketing and the hormones and all that. But then people don't look at the aging process as then somebody decaying. And so their ideas, their thoughts, their feelings are decaying. They're not evolving. There's no growth. Come on, sugar. There's no growth and development. And so even though it sounds like I'm being an ageist, no, I'm just recognizing that the reason why we're in such a pickle is because we've been listening to the elders who haven't matured. And then the elders think that they have all this wisdom. Yeah, you had wisdom of your time, but now it's time to evolve. But no, then they have children that listen to the elders. And then the children repeat what the elders did and made the same mistakes. And then you have the cycle of violence, cycle of decay. Oh, she didn't pee in here. Cycle of everything. Okay, that's good. All right. And so you got to realize that I want to see your monsters when you're ready. And you can have the monster trickle out. You can develop a platform. You can develop a platform that leads up to the monster. So it's not just like you threw up on the world and like, okay, I was sexually abused today and blah, 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 or whatever. And then people are like, okay, what do we do with that? So no, you want to lead up to how the monster got developed. And then what you did to deal with that. And then also how that colors the way how that colored and jaded the way you raised your kids. How that colored and jaded how your picker for a mate. And maybe you're still married. Okay, so you have to be careful. You don't want to complain. You don't want to upset the apple cart, but you also need to be honest with yourself. All right? I mean, Jason knows how I was able to land him because I'm from California. Yeah, it was cute. And I offered a different opportunity. What was that? Somebody new in his world that can shake up whatever. Okay? And when you're in a small town like the town that I'm in here, and there isn't a lot of choices. I mean, there's choices, but you got to sometimes go outside the pond and bring in something new. So that's what I'm telling you guys that's why I respect my husband so much, because he did go outside the pond. His family was not really impressed with me. They liked me in the beginning, but then, when the facade came down on all of our fronts, when the facade came down, we were at each other's throats. And I'm sure I contribute to it. They contribute. There's a lot of history in that family too. They're nice people, but you're bringing cultures together, and the facades can only last so long. That's what I'm saying. Do you really know people, or you only know their facade? It takes a long ass time to know someone, because people's facades can last for fucking years, like plastic surgery. You get a nip and a tuck here, the facade stays the same. Get a nip and a tuck here, the facade stays the same. And then over time, you see the facade fade away, because you can't, when you're decaying on the inside, eventually it's going to then exude on the outside. No matter how much plastic surgery, Botox, or cover up you put, you can't hide the decay that comes up from the inside out. Youth and beauty is inside out, but we have cheated in our society. Okay? You can say, well, it's just, evolution. It's enhancing. Okay, you can look at it that way. That's fine. And if you expect to die someday, then yeah, you could be one of those plastic people that cheated in looking cute and looking perfectly symmetrical. And if you can hold on to that facade until you die, great. If that's how you want to live your life, great. But that's the superficial manufactured depth in our world. Okay. That's the old world. That was the Greek system, the mythology. That was how they used the humors to go and bioengineer people. Well, sorry, but I'm done with that world, because now you're seeing the suffering from that. There's so much suffering when you can't let your monster free, when you have so much to hide from the world. That's why people don't go on Facebook a lot. Some people are like, I don't use Facebook. I don't want to put my stuff out there. It's not anybody's business. Yeah, because you're hiding. When my mom had when my mom has her page, she posts nothing. She'll comment. She commented on my stuff when she didn't agree. Or she'd be like, hey, love mom here, congratulations. Okay, great. But would never post anything on her Facebook. Okay? And so that's the thing. When you don't show your face, or you don't post on Facebook and you say, oh, I don't use Facebook to do it. You're hiding. Okay? So attraction is chemical. If you're attracted to the facade, that speaks volumes. Facades fade away eventually. And when the facade fades away, then you see some people will stick around because they're loyal to you, and that's fine. I don't mind. Loyalty is great. And some people will fade away. They don't have anything to relate to anymore. And relationships change. Chemistry changes. So do we really know people, or do we know the facade? Some facades are shallow, coming off as running deep. Others are just shallow. So if you're too focused on image, hence a facade, the waters run shallow, attracting the shallow followers. So no filters, literally. And so that's why, I asked my aging JJ crowd, is that try on and consider the fact that your politics, religion, and science is based upon old information, and also based upon the manufactured distractions. So that way you stay aging and dying and you don't make any difference, but yet you're still in the activist world and still buying into the system. And that maybe it's time that you purge out all those demons. You purge out your anti-government shit. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on with the government. Absolutely. A lot of stuff going on. There's predatory corporations. I don't argue with that. But we've allowed it to happen because we've been so greedy for money. We've been so greedy for social capital. We're dying inside. We don't have any discernment. And so why does predatory stuff happen? Because we have a lot of victims out there, and we've fostered that. We've contributed to that. Even though we didn't know that person, just our way of life has allowed so many people who don't know any better to be victimized because we never spoke out. We never said, hey, watch out for this, or hey, because, and we buy the products. We buy the products that victimize people. And so, yeah, we've allowed corporations to get out of hand because we never had any discernment of ourselves. And we teach our kids that it's all about the bottom dollar and money and fighting for your rights, but it's never about taking care of the inside. And we never knew this. Now we know this. Now it's time to start the transition of getting out of the old world and going to the new world. But if you don't have that capacity to do that, then it's best not to partake in people who are trying to develop the new world. If you want to still stay stuck in the old world and react to whatever arguments that were developed by DARPA and psychology and the behavioral scientists, fine. If you can't see both sides of an issue, then you've been psychologically manipulated. So, if you're too focused on image, hence a facade, the waters run shallow, attracting shallow followers, no filters, literally. At the end of the day, we're all just children who are not allowed to mature. And so the difference between what we think is adult and mature and juvenile are the jobs we hold, the knowledge we are allowed to explore and retain. And then we work for wood. We work for awards and given fancy titles. And that's why people became very narcissistic and very highly egotistical. You can say narcissist, okay. Back in the 80s, because of the amount of knowledge that was coming out of the 80s. All the different experiments. Because we had knowledge back in the 19th. There's, well, here's the thing. Psychology, bioengineering, chemistry. Psychology came out of Germany. Okay? Psychology came out of Germany on the heels, actually, right before World War II. So if Germany is all into the psychology, and then you have all the experiments in World War II, and then, oh my God, hold on. Yeah, psychology. There's just so freaking much, holy shit. So anyway, so psychology and experiments came out of Germany, and before World War II in the 1800s, and then World War II came about, and then now we are dealing with psychological operations. World War II was a whole psychological operation. Can you tell some of that? No. And then now we have people in different religions, all types of religions, taking cues from the different scientists in World War II. The NAZI scientists, that's Operation Paperclip. That's what's so ironic. That's why I was not really too enamored with the religion I was raised with, because something my gut told me something wasn't right. Did I have the words for it? No. But now I do. It's ironic that, a Jewish family is practicing something that was based out of Germany, that then turned into World War II type of experiments on that specific people. And then they're repeating that on people today or back in the 80s. So there's a lot of narcissistic people back in the 80s because there's so much knowledge that came out of the 80s from the 1930s, 40s, 50s, 60s, 70s, 80s. And so, and then you have people with these high level degrees that think they're freaking God. Then you have people torturing people with knowledge. Now it's time to take on some knowledge, people, so we don't overinflate the egos of these people in academia. And that's why Ted Kaczynski did what he did, because he was victimized by the academics in the high-level colleges. Oh, I could see these serial killers were developed by academia. Absolutely, with all the damn crazy experiments. And then we're repeating the experiment. So if you're a right wing and you don't like Biden, you're all about Trump or whatever, and you're taking on the doctors, listening to the holistic medical system, that's all part of the Rosicrucian liberal stuff. But also the right wing is part of that too. So then what are you doing? What are you an activist against when you are taking part in that system? You're doing nothing to change anything. You're not even changing yourself. You're not even bringing life back to your organs. That's what's crazy, is that we have elderly people who are activists, who are dying inside, and they're thinking that everyone's trying to hurt them or do this or do that, but they're not even bringing life back to their own fucking body. Their body is fading away. And so then I can't really take anyone seriously. So anyways, let me tell you, when I'm trying to explain a story and I want to go here and I want to go there, I wish I had like 5 mouths so I could talk in different ways, talk with different things, and you can hear it all at the same time. But I have a thought over here, a thought over here. Oh gosh. And so that's why everything has to be funneled through organization. And that's difficult for someone's brain that's working on firing on all different cylinders. Is how do you funnel all that information into something that is cohesive? And so some people do go on information overload, or they glitch, or they just go blank. Like when your phone just shuts off because there's just too much information. That's what my brain sometimes does. I'm just like, okay. Is it okay? You're over revving the engine, Jillian. Slow the fuck down. Okay. Because I used to, when I was a kid, I used to speak really fast. Like really fast. So fast that the people couldn't understand me. And sometimes that does come out. Eventually, over time, I did control my voice and control my thoughts and control the way, my modulation and the way I spoke. And then I had to think about what I had to say before I speak. And that took many years. And it actually, the JJ helped me release whatever anxiety around speaking. Because that was, in my 20s, that was one of the things people were like, slow down, Jillian, you're talking too fast. And it's probably a lot of anxiety. That's the whole fast talking is anxiety. It's a lot of anxiety. So psychology as a field of experimental study began in 1854 in Leipzig, Germany, when Gustav Fechner, sounds like Vecna, Fechner, created the first theory of how judgments about sensory experiments are about of how judgments about sensory experiences are made and how to experiment on them. Okay, so when you see the stress, fear, stress, medication, and the psychology behind it, psychiatry behind it. Yeah, back in the 80s, there was parents that told their kids back in the 80s and the 70s, 60s. No, back in the 60s and 50s, 70s, 50s, 60s, 70s, baby boomers. They were told by their parents that came out of the war and all that, post-World War II, whatever, or had grandparents in the war, that if you don't get into if you don't go to college or become a judge or become whatever, I'm cutting you off. And so a lot of these kids back in the 1950s and 60s and 70s, 50s, were threatened with being cut off if they didn't go into this specific college and become a lawyer or a judge or something. Okay? Because they knew that's how if you're not running society and becoming some mover and shaker, then you're going to be subject to somebody else's bullshit. Which I understand, yeah. But what are you running in society? What are you doing to the population? That's never questioned, because when academia is selling the courses and selling their programs, they're selling it like you're going to help society now and in the future. It didn't matter if you're going to take people and experiment on them and they're thrown away if they don't work. Yeah, I felt like I was kind of thrown away when things didn't work correctly. I can't assume that everything that the outcome was the intention. Like, right, the outcome is the JJ world and me purging my demons and talk about it on Facebook, right? I don't think that was the intention. No. I think the intention, let me speculate the intention again, was to create a Lolita, like Layla, like a woman of the night, right? Not necessarily destroy her mate, or that would come out. But self-destruct at some point. Because when you have that much anxiety and that much shit going on, when you're under that much stress, you will self-implode if you don't have a spark of life. And so I think that there is that self-destruct in all of these different behavioral scientific experiments. I mean, look, Ted Kaczynski. Okay, he self-destructed, but then you see Manson, he destroyed people around him, and he hypnotized them. Hold on. Jesus Christ. Oh, God. You see, my dog doesn't bark, right? She doesn't bark. She has a huge mass that is working itself through on her belly. And so she's very silent. Yes, sugar, I know. And so I don't know if she has to poop until I see her poop. Okay, fine. So anyways, okay, so that's the thing. So, and then you look at people right now, and they are self-destructing behind alcohol, drugs, and all that stuff. And going to the doctor and doing all the different diets. And of course, their activism is taking their life out of them. And so you're seeing the self-destruct. And you're seeing all the experiments. And you're seeing people react to those experiments. And that's why we have a huge cannabis population, because that's a lot of not only those that were experimented upon, but those that listened to those that were experimented upon and copied whatever their doctor said or copied whatever mainstream media said, and then they damaged their own family and damaged themselves. And so that's why I really can't take anyone seriously that listens to doctors, because if you go to a doctor because you don't want to feel evolution, you don't want to feel pain, you want to stay cured and then decay on the inside. So Wilhelm Wundt was a German psychologist who established the very first psychology laboratory in Leipzig, Germany in 1879. This event is widely recognized as a formal establishment of psychology as a science distinct from biology, philosophy. Okay? And so then you have World War II, and then you have, after that, then Operation Paperclip, and then now you're seeing people who were victims of World War II practice the very same thing that was done to them and their grandparents. That's the irony of what's going on. That's why I knew there's something not quite right with my whole situation. And so the hypocrisy is unmistakable. And someone needs to speak out. Absolutely. I was in it. I learned about the Holocaust. It was shoved down my throat. I went to Jewish temple. I went to temple every single Friday and high holidays. And okay, fine, that's a religion. You're supposed to be raised with some kind of religion. But when you are, but when your dad's in biotech and your mom's in psychology, and they have people in their family that were victims of the Holocaust, and then they're practicing that shit on 2 immigrants, adoptees, with absolutely no remorse. And so was the intentions honorable? Well, I didn't die in Vietnam. Or I could have gone to someone else. I think I was supposed to go to somebody in New York. What would my life been if I went to New York? Who knows? Supposedly I was really sick. So this is why you guys really have to start changing some shit. And if you can't do it, fine. If you can't change and you can't bring about it publicly at some point, okay. But there is such a power when people can see that you don't have to hide behind the facade. That authenticity at this point is going to speak volumes. And so that's why this next book is going to be called Silicon Valley Secrets, because that's where all the manufactured depth, that's all the widgets that are influencing our society. And I went to school with them. Lived next door to some movers and shakers. Okay? They help society move forward, but they also reinforce the death programming. They also reinforce the self-destruct and the shallowness, the fakery, the throwaway people of our society because they didn't have the genetic gifts that were acceptable to the whole facade. And so now it's the revenge of the nerds. Jesus. And that's all I'm going to say because I'm just done right now. I just need to, process this. All right, bye.